there. That's
Yep.
one of my favorites. So I had like a goal, and I was focused, and it's a really narrow highway there. They've repaved it since, but it was really narrow and crumbly. And right there, the highway is really it's up high with no shoulder. And where I was driving, I think like even the painted line at that point wasn't even there. It was so narrow that some of that like no shoulder part of the highway had like crumbled off, and I hit a freaking pothole. My tire blew, and I like just kind of fell off the road a little bit. My tire did, and in retrospect, I probably should have just like driven straight off the highway, but I overcorrected. I was going about 65. The Baja Nomad site, you should have heard, because I had a blog at the time, and there was all kinds of commentary about, oh, you were driving too fast. But, 65 is pretty normal for that. It was a straightaway. But because I overcorrected, I spun out. I probably spun 3 times. And the first thing I thought was, oh, man, my husband's going to kill me. And then we flew off the road, and we rolled 5 times. There were angels in our car. I counted like 1. It was slow motion. 2, 3. By like roll 3, I'm thinking, dear God, just let my kids survive. I don't even care if I survive. Just let my kids survive. 4, 5. We landed on the tires, so we weren't upside down. I still, to this day, am so grateful for that. I couldn't open the driver's side, and I heard my son crying, so I knew he was okay, but I couldn't hear my daughter. And the trucker I passed immediately pulled over, and I got out of the passenger side, immediately got to my daughter. The trucker said, "What do you need?" I said, make sure my son's okay and get him out of his car seat. And then I got my daughter woke up. There was blood everywhere. Turns out both kids were fine. Car seats are a miracle. There was a small cut on my daughter. I had lacerations everywhere, shattered my wrist. There's no place to pull over on the road there. There was 9, maybe 4 Mexican cars, but 9 Mexicans that stopped. They collected all of our things. Of course, we were in shock, but they were like, "Where's your iPad? Where's your computer? Where's your car registration? Where's your passport? Where's your purse?" They were so concerned that our things were going to get stolen that they collected all of our stuff, and they put it in a pile. They washed our faces, wrapped us in blankets, gave us Tylenol, completely took care of us, collected all of our things, and the police then came and put it in the back of their patrol car. And this woman named Claudia, I will never forget her. She had the greenest eyes. She was from Tijuana. She, at this point, they were putting us like in the ambulance to go to Guerrero Negro. And mind you, let me tell you that there was probably 9 or 10 Westerners that drove past in this time. And imagine me, blonde hair, 3 and 5-year-old, redhead, blonde-haired daughter, covered in blood with a clearly rolled over California Tundra truck, driving past, full on eye contact with a woman at one point. I mean, we were right on the side of the road. Nobody even rolled down their window to say, "Are you okay?" And it's fine. I speak fluent Spanish. I cannot tell you what angels these people were that cared for me. But it would have been comforting to have someone speak English to me and say, "Are you okay?" And I would have said, "I'm fine. I'm good. Thank you." But, and that's the one thing I can say is if you see anyone on the side of the road that's been in an accident, roll down your window. Even if if their car looks overheated, roll down your window and say, "Are you okay?" That's,
Right. Right.
That's like Baja code.
So we've gotten on to quite a story here. We cut right into it.
Yeah,
Holy
we did.
Toledo.
Sorry. I have a lot to say. Sorry.
I'm slack-jawed, and I remember this magnificent leap that my wife and I took. She quit her job, and they said, no, take 6 months off, and you'll have your job back. And we just needed to figure out how to live with no income for 6 months. And I quit my job, and we loaded our kids and drove to La Paz. And that was in the day of guidebooks, and we didn't really know it was supposed to be a colonial city, and basically had 3 kids in the minivan. But we weren't driving to North Dakota to see Grandma. We were going to Baja, and those were things that I worried about. What happens? I had driven that road. I know about the crown. I know about the, no shoulders, crumbling shoulders, and obviously south of El Rosario all the way to Guerrero Negro, there's absolutely no emergency medical treatment. And considering your husband's a firefighter, that must have been truly terrifying. And I know that there's a volunteer group that goes out of El Rosario, and they will rescue tourists, or they'll rescue anybody.
The Green Angels.
Right.
Yeah.
They'll rescue anyone who's been in an accident. But it comes via CB from the truckers, and they either come up from Guerrero Negro or come down from El Rosario, and so it can be quite a while before somebody gets you, and quite a ride back. But wow.
Yeah. Well,
let's just say wow.
And the craziest part is the woman Claudia. Let me get back to her real quick.
Yeah, please.
She
keep
says
going.
to me, as we're actually the ambulance wasn't there yet. We're in someone's car. She comes up to me, eyes fiery green, and she says to me in Spanish, "You have to listen to me. Let me take your things out of the police car. They are going to steal your stuff. I know it sounds crazy, but you have to trust me. Please let me take your things out of the car." And I said, "Yes, take my things out of the car." And so they took all my things out of the car, moved it into the car, and then the ambulance came. And then she said, "Can I put your things in the ambulance?" And I said, "Yes." So there was this crazy shuffle of them, collecting all the stuff from the desert, collecting all the stuff, putting it in the car, collecting all the stuff, moving all the stuff to the car. Meanwhile, my kids are starting to fall asleep, and from shock. And
sure.
And so I'm having them count to 100 in English and Spanish. So I'm just trying to keep my kids from falling asleep, because I don't know if they have concussions or what's going on. But it was just it was the craziest thing that's really ever happened to me, So
you've survived that.
We survived it. Yeah.
You survived that, and you're still married.
Yeah.
And your husband wished he had been there.
Yeah, he got a phone call in LA, and
that must have just been wow.
Yeah, it was nuts. Yeah. Crazy experience. But what I can say is the hospital bill was $99. They took they fed us lunch. The ambulance drivers were amazing. They drove us to Guerrero Negro. The firefighters they took us to our hotel afterwards. They took such good care of us. And what I can say, and I think what I love about Mexico, and what I really love about Baja is the community, the people, and how caring they are of foreigners. You can come in, and I'm a total foreigner. They don't know me.
Güerita.
Yeah. And and they're just so giving. They'll give you the shirt off their back. My husband's, he's so funny. He always says, "Oh man, Mexicans, they'll give you the shirt off their back, and they'll also take it. They'll take yours."
Well, so that's what everybody. That's the sweeping generalization here. People say, "Why would you go to Mexico?"
Right.
And you've basically had a sort of worst nightmare, a traveler's worst nightmare.
Sure.
And you've survived. And the takeaway, or at least the takeaway that I'm getting, is that it was the locals. Yeah. It was the locals who looked after you. It was the locals who were most concerned about you faring well in their country, to collect your things and move them multiple times, and to, in your state, warn you about losing your iPad and these other things that probably at the end of the day it would be an inconvenience, but you would easily replace.
Sure.
Here.
Yeah.
They are worried so much about you, and they're looking after not only your wounds, but your things.
They just wanted to care for me in every possible way, and they wanted nothing from me.
And that's it. And that's the thing that I think that if more people had that message, and maybe it can be the part of your guidebook, if more people had that message, that it's 99% of the people are just darn nice, trying to get dinner on the table, get their kids educated, and live a better life.
Yeah.
And because of the way life is fragile, they're going to be the ones who will look after the neighbor in need.
Sure.
And you may be that neighbor, and you were that neighbor.
Yeah, yeah. And then I think the other message that I'm constantly talking about on my Instagram page is the freedom. I like all of Baja. I'm like one of those people that's like, I will take that fancy hotel. I love a weekend away. I love the waiter coming to me and bringing me the 2-for-1 cocktails and the swimming pool, and I love that aspect of it. That's really fun. But for me, there is nothing more awesome than like taking an unknown road and ending up on a beach or like in like a mountainous ranch where you're just far and away and you see like beauty, like I don't know, like you can't see anywhere else. Like I said, I've like traveled all over the world, and I don't think there's anything like Baja anywhere else. I mean, there is, you know, but there's just something so like raw and untouched about being down there. And you know, things change. I know a lot about the policies down there. When I was in grad school, I really wanted to do my master's thesis on the policy changes that happened in the 90s and the fideicomisos and transnational trade and things like that occurred. I know a bit about that and why the ejido properties were split up and what happened there, and why we see the properties sort of pop up when they did, you know, why we see what happened to Cerritos, like in southern Baja. And a lot of people will be like, oh, southern Baja, it's like so ruined or whatever. I don't think it's ruined. I think it's just as cool, you know. I think the East Cape's super rad still. It's different, you know. I don't know, like, if you've seen what happened with the Grand Solmar. Do you know about Solmar? So Solmar used to have this tiny little hotel. It's on the like other side of Divorce Beach there. Mm-hmm. And it used to have the tiny hotel, and it had a really, really cool like wedgie wave out there. It was awesome for like hardcore boogie boarders, and the turtles used to nest out there. And it was the concession stand there. You know, like the Mexican government has like a concession area on the beach that's technically not supposed to be sold, and that got sold somehow. And you talk to, you know, the guys that do the glass bottom boats and stuff that take you out to the arch, and you ask them about it, and they're like, yeah, somebody sold that, somebody had some money, they paid Mexico. Someone off, right? Yeah. And so now there's the Grand Solmar, and it's this huge, beautiful resort. It's fun to stay at. I've stayed there. I have a girlfriend that has a timeshare there. It's lovely. But do the turtles nest there anymore? No. That really sucks ecologically. But can you stop modernity? No. I don't know. You know, it is. You know, I can't sit there and cry about it. I just kind of have to like observe it and say, okay, well, this is what it is, and acknowledge it, and just kind of go see the turtles someplace else, I guess. I mean, like, what else can I do? There are like some really cool nonprofits and things in Southern Baja that are working towards preservation. In La Paz, there's some really cool programs out there, and I'm learning about them through my Instagram account, which is super cool. I don't know if you saw my post about the lease turns.
I did.
Those are. Have you seen them down there?
No. Well, I mean, yes. I'm not a birder, but I get it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, see, that's what's so cool about Baja too. You know,
exactly.
I like sound like such a like, I guess a spastic freak, because I like find so much joy in all these like little things. But you know, I'm sitting there. We're down there on the estuary, and I never heard the lease turn. I'm like, what are these things? They're like going for my head. And of course, then I go on like this Google search, and I learn about these birds, and like how cool that they're being preserved. Like they weren't down there. It's like there's been like an effort to bring the leasting terns back there, and
it's working. Yeah.
And they were going for our heads.
I saw that.
You know,
and your kids had some unbridled joy about that.
Yes. Well, I did too. You know, wow, that's so neat. Yeah. So.
I joke with my wife as I roll into middle age that we're going to have to learn about tree species and birds, and we're going to be, you know, traveling with binoculars and being birders. That's what, you know, people do.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But, you know, it wasn't that long ago that we were both two up on my motorcycle riding through Baja and eating mangoes and drinking Coronas on the beach. But hey, so you've got kids in school, mm-hmm. and they're young.
Yep.
And what's your routine? You're not too far. You're a couple hours from the border, I'd guess, here.
Uh-huh.
2 hours,
about
more
2
or less,
hours,
depending on what time you
mm-hmm.
leave.
Yes.
So you're 2 hours north of Tijuana.
Mm-hmm.
What's your routine when you're going to take off, and you and your unseen husband in your new rig, which just looks terrific, your Jeep with
Yep.
the rooftop tent? What's your routine, and do the kids get fired up about